Hi. So I thought I'd give you an update today, and I'm trying out my new light. It's pretty fabulous. Um, so it's been 4 or 5 days maybe, and all of my little seedlings are growing, which is just so cool. So I know these ones, they're in the pretty teacup. They are thyme. And somebody actually saw a picture of this online and said, "Oh my gosh, thyme is so hard to grow from seed. Good job." And I thought, man, I'm glad I didn't know that ahead of time. And these two, I actually don't know which is which. This might be the oregano. Let's see, how am I showing you there? Or I kind of think it's the oregano. And then this then would be all of the little basils, which I'm pretty excited about there. And if you can see, they're all kind of growing in one direction, this way, in that pot, and in this pot as well. They're all just kind of growing that way. And that's because I haven't been turning them to face the light a little bit at a time to keep them growing straight up. Yes, Vader, one of my kitties is making comments. Yes, Vader. I love you. Vader, is it Vader's turn? Yeah, just a minute. And I found a solution to the watering problem. I actually went to IKEA and got this little thing here for like 99 cents, I think. And you're able to adjust the spray nozzle, so I can literally just spray it enough to water without soaking too deeply. And what's interesting also is that these, because I think they don't have the wind, just natural air movement touching the soil because of these tall tops, they actually stayed wet a really long time and have not needed watering. In fact, I was sort of worried for a while that they would mold in there. So I really wish I had gotten this from the get-go just for this sort of baby seedling stage, and this small amount of dirt that's actually there for them to grow in. So I'm really excited about these. And a friend of mine also online suggested taking tin foil and cupping it around portions of the seedlings, or even making a box that's lined with tin foil on 3 sides and the other side is open to the sun, so that the reflection of the sun means that the seedlings get it from all directions and will grow straight instead of at an angle. So I'm going to play around with that later today, which is pretty cool. But this is the other thing I thought I'd show you today. I have seen in the last 10 years probably a variety of ways to heat small spaces without using electricity. So I actually had to make a little adjustment there for the lighting. I've seen a variety in the past few years of, past 10 years actually, of options for trying to heat a tiny space like a small home or an off-grid workshop or something without using electricity. And I really love wood stoves, and especially little tiny ones, like the cubic mini wood stove is one of my favorites. They have 2 sizes and they're both, you know, just little tiny wood stoves, and they don't use much fuel, but they put out a great amount of heat. And they're built like regular full-service wood stoves, so you have control over the draft and the airflow and the flame size and all that sort of thing. But in the meantime, since I don't have a wood stove right now, I've been looking around at other options, and I don't really like propane. For one thing, it gives me migraines. Just the off-gassing from the propane gives me migraines. Yes, I am a canary. But beyond that, the fracking that you have to do to get the propane and to get the natural gas causes earthquakes. It pollutes the drinking water and the aquifers. I mean, it really just kills the land. And I can't live with that. And so on the one hand, I think that, you know, using this much propane over a month is a great way to be low impact. If all of us do that, that's still a shit ton of propane and natural gas and whatnot, and I don't want to do that. So I'm looking for a renewable option, hopefully. And one of the things that I had seen a long time ago involved a whole bunch of this kind of just clay pot that were stacked on top of each other with air spaces in between, and a bunch of little tea light candles underneath. And this basically worked as a heat sink. So those candles let off a lot of heat as well as a little bit of light, and the heat would collect and heat these up, and then these would radiate that heat out for quite a long time, even after the tea lights had burned out. And I saw something similar on, oh man, it's the guy who does tiny house listings, and I cannot for the life of me. I'll find it and put a link down below. But he is forever testing out cool gadgets and alternative systems for cooking and heating and living off grid. And I love tinyhouselistings.com, by the way. They not only do they offer a wide variety of tiny homes, both on wheels and off wheels, but they also actually now, I believe, are offering a service to help people find places to park, like land and whatnot. Goober, don't eat that, honey. Is that stuck in your mouth? I'm going to pull it out. Okay. Oh, cat duty. And so anyway, it's a cool site just even to see what kind of things are being built, but also to find something that would work for you, especially if you're interested in trying something and don't have the time to build from scratch yourself. And anyway, something he did quite a while ago involved a really old, used Dutch oven. What are these things really called? Cast iron with a lid on top. And so he actually had a bunch of candle flames, and then he had put a giant cast iron pot on top of that with heat bricks inside of that, and then a lid, and that was his heat sink. And he had, I don't know, 10 or 20 candles going underneath that thing. And he got his little not insulated shed up to something like 80 degrees just from the heat in the candles being slowly released from the heat sink that he had created. And so I kind of have been thinking about those two things. And I love the idea of the BioLite, BioLite stoves, because they produce electricity that you can use to power your cell phone or your LED light systems, as well as producing a flame that you can cook on. But they're not safe for an indoor purpose, so they're not really a heat provider. And I have a really small solar panel and some other options for electricity for LED lights and for recharging my cell phone. So what I wanted was something that would produce heat and possibly be something I could cook on. Now, years ago, I had gotten this from World Market, and I love it. I actually love it so much that I bought 2 of them. And it comes with a really pretty cast iron teapot on top with this, stuff carved into it. It's just beautiful. But what this is a place, oh, now I want the light back again. It's a place where you can put your tea lights down in there, and then you have this on top, and you set your cast iron teapot on top, and if you wait a really long time, it will boil the water in the cast iron teapot, and you can have tea. But I have done that, and it does take a few hours to actually heat the water. And I don't want to wait a few hours. And so I was thinking about all of this, going, well, how can I make a little rocket stove or, to cook on outside and this and that and the other thing. And I came to this idea that I haven't tested it yet. That'll be another video, but I'm just showing you my idea for now, since this idea worked out so well. And this baby, I'm in love with this one. So pretty. Oh, that's the pretty side. That what I'm going to do is take this, and I think I can probably fit 3 to 5 tea lights in here. And I also don't want to use a whole lot of tea lights, because those are still a resource that has to be made and that has to be purchased. And the less of that it takes, and the more I can just have something reusable, the better in my mind. The more earth-friendly and functional. So I'm going to see how many tea lights I can fit in there comfortably. and light them and have that. And then I bought this a while ago, kind of in between these two other things, thinking, well, this would be great. I could, turn it upside down and have tea lights under it or something. But it's cast iron, and what I'm actually going to do is set it on top of here so that there's still some airflow from the tea lights that are underneath here up through here so that they don't burn themselves out, but I still capture most of the heat. And this has holes, and the thing under it has holes. So then, to capture even more heat, I'm actually going to set this upside down on top. This is not glazed. I don't want the glaze because most of those glazes are silicone, and I'm concerned that if they catch fire or heat up too much, they might release something nasty. I just don't know enough about the chemistry. So this is not glazed. And there's a little hole in the top for stuff to still come out if it needs to, or I could put like a metal bolt in there if I wanted to stop that from happening, if I find I'm losing too much of the heat out of there. But this is my idea, is that this and this will act as a heat sink. They will collect the heat from the tea light candles and then start radiating it out over time in a wider area, in fact, than just a single tea light with the heat going straight up would do. And I'm going to see. I'm going to try this out and see how hot it gets and what kind of heat it can put out and if the candles will burn in this situation. And it occurred to me also that, one tea light takes forever, especially if I'm heating a cast iron pan or pot. But if I have 3 tea lights in here and, a tin or copper cooking item pot or pan on top of here, it might cook a little faster. And again, that would be very functional. I could actually cook inside without worrying about the fumes and the smoke, but also I'll try it outside. And this thing I think is sturdy enough. I'm going to look for a way to make a little, well, actually something kind of like this that will fit down inside there to hold little pieces of wood and leaves and things that will burn that you can just pick up from around your own yard. I'm going to look for some sort of surface to put in here to burn those on, just like you do in a rocket stove, so that they stay up above the ash that falls down in, and the heat and the air will come in from below and push upwards. And I might just have the beginnings of my own kind of a rocket stove already in place. And that's Vader in the corner. He was talking to me earlier. He really wants attention right now, but he's been very patient. So anyway, I thought I'd share. I'm kind of excited to see how my next experiment works. You can see the whole thing here. And yeah, thanks for being part of the conversation. Look forward to talking with you again soon. Be well.